Hi, this is Grace Power with My Gold Sugar, and this is our 9th video on a series of 10 videos on how to get started with sugaring. And I just wanted to highlight the strip method on this video and how to do the strip method. So with the strip method, we had talked about it a little bit on the video where we talked about the different temperatures. And so with strip method, you do want to melt your sugar down to more of a honey type temperature, and so it goes on fairly thin and easy, then compared to like if you're using a paste method, you want it a little bit thicker so you can flick it off. But with the strip method, you want it on as thin as possible, so the warmer that you can tolerate the sugar, I mean, you don't want it like too hot, but it will be a little bit, it will be quite, it'll be comparable to waxing. You want it warmed up to kind of that wax temperature feeling where it definitely feels warm going on the skin, but not scalding, of course. And I would always test the sugar on a spot that if it did result in a burn, that you wouldn't be too embarrassed about it, like maybe on the inside of your arm or somewhere where it's kind of hidden. And just test the sugar out and see if it's the right the right temperature first. And then when you're putting it on, it's the same as with the paste method. You're going to go on against the hair growth and pull with the hair growth, which is the opposite of your normal waxing method. So if you're an esthetician and you've been doing waxing forever, that's going to take a little bit of getting used to. But you will get the most hair out going with that method. You can do it with the waxing method, but it's just not going to be as effective. You're not going to get as much hair, and you probably will get a little more breakage of the hair. So do your best to follow that method of going against the hair, pulling with the hair, and remember to put it on fairly thin. One way to do that is to hold your stick perpendicular to the skin. So if you're putting it on like this, you want to hold the stick like up and down. You don't want to put it on like laying it down against the skin. If you're just doing a little area, you might, like a lot of times I'll hold my stick like this, and you can put it on like this, like on maybe like on a knuckle or something. So, but if you're doing a larger area, usually I'll put it sideways, and you just want to put it on very thin, and then put your strip down. I have some strips here, so put your strip down, and you kind of push and put some pressure on there. This would be kind of like the molding, where you're just working that sugar into the strip a little bit, and then flick it off. And when you flick it off, you don't want to flick up. Make sure that you're going with the direction of the body area that you're working on, and not away from it, because that's what can cause bruising or extra irritation, and sometimes it doesn't even come off if you pull it up. So pull it against, pull it with the hair growth, but kind of also in line with the body area. Another thing with these strips is you don't have to buy strips. You can use old sheets that you might have laying around the house, or old material. You know, I've even used a t-shirt material before, like an old t-shirt. It doesn't work as well as like a sheet material would work, but you can use something like that. Just any type of material that's going to stick to the sugar and then give you the way of pulling it off. I've even had, I was talking to my doctor about the sugaring, and she was very familiar with sugaring, but what she did with her strips would she put them in a big bucket of hot water, and then the sugar would just kind of, that was used, would just dissolve off of the strips, and then she could throw the strips in the wash and then reuse those strips. So if you're very conservative, or going green, that is an idea, so that you don't have to keep going through so many strips, and it would be a way to save money too, as well as saving the environment. So that's something to keep in mind. If you're working in a salon, I'd be a little bit hesitant to do that, but if you're just doing this just because of sanitary reasons and that kind of thing, but if you're doing it just on yourself at home, it should be perfect. So that is another little tip with sugar, with the strip method. Another thing that I'll mention is, if you are using strips like this, that you can get just at like a Sally's Beauty Supply, or even online, I'm sure Amazon sells these, you can cut them to your desired size shape. So these are just some various sizes that you can cut, and one of the main sizes that I use a lot is kind of like this, you know, this regular size, where I'll cut it in half this way, and then cut it in half this way, and then I have 4 nice size strips that are easier to use on, like, especially the face or smaller areas that you're working on. And it's just a little bit easier and less cumbersome than trying to use a big strip to get off a little area of sugaring. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And then another size strip that I like to do is just the little tiny one, where you're just taking, you know, the length of the strip and just cutting it into little tiny strips. So those work really good for upper lip and brows and tiny little spots of the body. So I hope this video was helpful and enlightened you a little more about using the strip method with sugaring. If you have questions or concerns, be sure to contact us through the website mygoldsugar.com, and stay tuned for our 10th video on this series of 10, where we will be talking about how to get unstuck with sugaring. So see you in the next video.